How is everyone this fine weekend? This what, week 4? Week 3? Week 3 or 4 of the Wuhan COVID flu 2019 coronavirus. Good evening. Yes. Let me get that a little bit down. Move this over. Luckily, everything, at least so far, appears to be working well. Technically, the very first time, everything is a go. I've been doing fine. I'm alive and all that. This is good. I need to turn that on, though. That was the thing that I was forgetting. I have to turn on the weird little things for Twitch so that people can do the channel points. There's a new step to starting. And I've got to remember where/how I do it. Then our creator dashboard? Where is the new system for doing this? Channel points? Manage rewards. Turn you not pet. Pet cannot be done. And review request queue as a little pop out now that they are on. There we go. I haven't fixed them from last time. I was intending to do so, but I don't know. Somehow I am home more, and yet I have less time to do things again. It drives me bonkers. Hey, Zenfrox, welcome to the stream. Hell yeah, man. Dwarf Fortress for all. Down with the damn dirty elves. Well, yes, I am also a Dwarf Fortress streamer. There are a few of us bumbling around, making our way in the world. What was I doing in this base? Making our way in the world. Super hyped for the new Dwarf Fortress. The Steam version, Dwarf Fortress Premium, I think they're going with, when that gets released. I got a new chair, because the other one always got caught on the green screen, and wasn't visible. Hold on. Which one of these is the... I have merchants? Was I trading with the merchants? No. Well, that's good, then the merchants can leave. Let's go with overhead cam real quick. Got a new chair because I snapped the other one. For anyone who's on the Discord can tell you, I posted pictures. I sit in these a little too hard and I completely broke it. This one has like a 5-year warranty, and as you can see, there is not a lick of green on it. So nothing for the green screen to get caught on. Also, instead of polyurethane leather, it's just leather. That way it actually lasts. Turn off action cam. I gotta create a quick button for that to make that an easier switch. Yep, so the chair is good, because so now when I lean back, I don't, nearly die as the chair just collapses behind me. Well, I say collapses. Is really what it was is, so when you lean back in a chair, it has a metal bar thing, and when you lock it, it has a thing that locks it into different places. Well, when you sit in it, it has to take the load, like it has to take your weight. So if you just sit in it really hard, you're always making the machine do this, like you're catching the gears. And there's a little safety bar behind it to like make sure it doesn't pop out. Well, the thing like a month ago, that was like this weird thing popped out of my chair. That was a safety bar. That was like the relief valve going off on the Steamworks, telling you to stop sitting in your chair that hard. But I didn't know what it was, so I didn't listen. So I kept doing it, and then, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago? We'll say 2 weeks ago, without the little thing behind it anymore, I hit it so hard it hit the bottom of the chair, and it just popped out, and took all the parts with it. So it just ejected and exploded out of the back of the chair one day. Oh, Dwarf should have worked. Why didn't I hear that? Hold on, I might not have that script working. Or, I mean, it works, but I might not have it on. All right, the dwarfing command should work. I turned that off on other times just so that people don't dwarf when I don't have the game running, because that is a very, very particular script that I wrote. And if you dwarf at the wrong time, I won't know it. And thus, you'll have a false dwarf. You got whispered back, Sirlac, right? Yeah. I need to switch that from doing whispers. So if you don't have a dwarf, it will give you a dwarf. If you do have a dwarf, it sends you a whisper saying your dwarf is still alive. I actually came here because someone suggested my D&D stuff. I haven't shown D&D. I haven't shown my D&D people some love in a while, unfortunately. Dwarf number 12. Let me get that running. Dwarf therapist. I have 3 playlists essentially running on YouTube: Dwarf Fortress, Thea 2, and Pathfinder / D&D. The problem is, in order of ease of getting a video out, is Dwarf Fortress, Thea 2, and Pathfinder / D&D. Dwarf Fortress, because I already know the information, I just have to get it out there. Thea 2, I have to twiddle some of the programming to convey the information. And Pathfinder, I have to read and read and read the same chapter like 4 times, because every single time you try to read one of those rules, someone will be like, you not making fun of people, but it's the internet, so everyone sounds the same when you're on the internet. Excuse me, you read that rule wrong. You read the rule wrong. It says every 2 turns you get to kill everyone, not every 3 turns. So Pathfinder D&D one takes the most time to get to prep for. So unfortunately, it gets the least amount of love, as much as it deserves some from me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You are currently, I've got to fix these classes. Who is this? This is Tapioca. Tappaiyok. Tapioca. Commit that in. We're gonna give it a little bit before I read your description, just because for some reason it seems to take a few cycles for it to get through all of Dwarf Fortress and put your little nickname in there. I don't know why. I find it to be kind of weird. Either it should update immediately or not at all, but it seems to only have an occasional check to notice when it needs to be dwarfed. Tell them about your 6th Sense D&D campaign. I explained it bad. The Saint Sebastian game? Is that the one where they basically... I always jokingly called it threw down the gauntlet. Yeah, okay. I always jokingly referred to it as throwing down the gauntlet. If a player makes a comment about the game, in terms of quality or ease or something like that, if someone makes a comment, I would routinely treat it like a genie wish. Oh, there's not enough happening for you. All right, then let's put some more in the game. No, please don't. You are the one who threw down the gauntlet. Who am I to leave a challenge unopposed? And the gauntlet in that case was, try to remember the exact start to it, but the idea was that I had made a claim that I knew the players. Because of the way I DM, I write down rules for if this player does this and if he actually doesn't. Like, I write it down to the player's playstyle, the events that they might do and how that could change events going on throughout the campaign. So my players had essentially said something along the lines of, bullshit. You do not or cannot predict your players. Now, mind you, I'm not saying I can just immediately grab players and have them in. These are guys I'd played with for like over a year, and with me always as a DM. Everyone generally kind of gets a good vibe for their players. I just try to strive to put it into, planning. So they had laid down the gauntlet, essentially. Bullshit. No, you don't. Or no, you can't. It's along the lines of, I could not predict what they were going to do. So basically, the entire campaign was a Sixth Sense campaign-ish, but wrapped in the trappings of time travel. Because the enemy they were fighting the entire campaign was Saint Sebastian. That's the person who kept fighting them. So I, as the NPC, Saint Sebastian, would regularly, before and after the new story arc, boldly proclaim something like, I'm going to do this. This will happen. Or you are going to get this for me. I would just boldly proclaim shit just because I knew by the end it would happen, just to mess with the players. It was amazing. I love doing that. The reasoning being in story why Saint Sebastian knew what was going to happen was he was from the future.
or at the very least, he had very, very powerful oracle abilities is the wrong term, but very good divination abilities is what we're going. It's not really time travel, just I know what's going to be. You get what I'm saying? Things get muddled in D&D when you try to use certain words. So their enemy was Saint Sebastian, right? This is the person they're fighting. And from the beginning, he was doing just amazing things, and it was confusing and annoying the players. The one where the team was dead. Yeah, I'm talking about the exact same one. I am talking about the same one. Because what happened is there's a regular campaign going on. Like, there is the big bad Psionic King is invading. There is a campaign going on, but I'm overlaying this with I am messing with them by having Saint Sebastian occasionally pop up and proclaim something that's going to happen. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is how I would, in the meta of the campaign, do things. So at the beginning, they quickly get in trouble because they can't keep their nose out of trouble, and they end up in trouble with the Psionic King, essentially. And the Psionic King, he does, the Psionics have an ability called, in 3.5, called like Psychic Seed or something like that. The idea being that if the target fails their fort save, you have implanted your psyche in them. I've modified this admittedly, but this is how the rule itself is in the game, mostly. You implant your psychic seed in them. If at some point you were to try to activate it or die, your psyche becomes manifest in them. It's basically it's a ahead of time planned out reincarnation, where you get reincarnated, your soul and psyche become in this person, but you have their body. So it's like reincarnation, but you're choosing the body you're reincarnating into, and you don't have to deal with that whole growing up nonsense. Well, reincarnation, you don't have to either. So this is the person that is the big bad. They get in trouble, and I kind of half modified the spell because I didn't like that spell as it stood. So he was kind of doing experimentation. In their party is a player who, like, as a person, we jokingly referred to as Jesus. That's what he looked like. He had the Jesus, like the stereotypical American Jesus look. Kind of like a hippie, but somehow you're supposed to believe that, you know, he has your best interests at heart. You get the idea of the picture I'm talking about. That's just kind of what he looked like, so our nickname for him was Jesus. So he was playing the healer. He's playing a saint, because this is what he always plays. He doesn't always play a saint, but he always plays some healer type. He's playing the saint, but he didn't bother to name the saint. This was like a very key thing. He didn't bother to name the saint because while he was always wanting to play the support class or whatever, he was always very flippant about what the jobs were. So he just called himself the Healbot. That's what he was. Like, he never gave himself a proper name. His backstory was, oh, I was in the church. I wanted to heal people. Let's go, Healbot. Wipe my hands at his backstory. And I accepted it. Usually, I don't accept things. That should have been a red flag. That should have been a red flag that I accepted such a weak-ass backstory. But it wasn't to them for some reason. So they're going through the campaign, and at the beginning of it, the Psionic King does some mental experimentation, and I make everyone do fort saves. And they've got bad fort saves. Well, some of them have got moderate fort saves, but a lot of them have bad fort saves because they're all trying to set themselves up to be one and done, like nukers. The rogue, assassinate style. Wizard, fucking tens to hundreds of D6 of damage a few times a day, but whatever, the problem's dealt with type of thing. So a lot of them don't tend to have melee type characters or like melee tank type characters. So they don't really have a lot of high fort saves. So I make them all do the fort saves, and they basically all fail. Except for the Saint. The Saint passes his fort save because he's a Saint. Now, this isn't just a term I'm using. It is an actual template from the Book of Exalted Deeds, a Saint. There's a lot of shit that goes into it. It's really powerful, though. If you are ever doing 3.5 rules and your DM allows you, if you do a Saint who had a Saint cleric whose prestige class is the Radiant Servant of Pelor, you've got heals. No one can die near you unless the DM is mean and just one shot kills them. So everyone fails their fort saves. I say excruciating pain, tell them the damages, and everyone's like, shit, I'm dead. What the fuck just happened? I'm dead. So everyone dies except the Saint. Then I say the Saint passes out from the pain, and you wake up the next morning, and I let people just keep talking. I didn't address anything. I'm just like, all right, it's the next morning, go. And everyone's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're in the same cell now, you know, continue. So they go through their campaign, and multiple times, like they're trying to do the Saint, they're trying to do a city, or saying they're trying to do the Psionic King, they're trying to do a city, but every now and then the Saint comes up. And that's why I'm saying, like, this is kind of like also a time travel, but not really a time travel thing. The Saint comes up and starts fucking with him, Saint Sebastian. And Saint Sebastian has a bone to pick with the group Saint. He has a bone to pick with the group, but particularly the group's Saint. Because Saint Sebastian's whole premise is, the gods abandoned me. The gods abandoned me, they'll abandon you too. And I need you, basically he's like, I'm wanting you to fall. It's like the whole premise, like I'm gonna get you to admit the gods abandon you. Because if gods abandon everyone. The gods abandon me in my times of need. Fuck the gods. Because the template for Saint is all based around you being a wholesome person by the rules essentially of D&D combat. Like as long as you fulfill the vow feats, you're good. But none of the vow feats say you have to wholeheartedly believe in your god. None of them really say that. You could be a cleric or technically a druid or someone else who just believes in the power of goodness and become a saint. You don't actually have to be a saint of a god. So even though he's like, oh, gods are bad and evil and all that good jazz, you need to abandon the gods from your life. He can still be a saint. That's just kind of how the rules are set up. Think of it as a weakness on their part. Yeah, it's kind of like the clone spell. But you are inhabiting someone else's body, almost like a possession. But it's a one and done. Once they fail that save and you inhabit them, whatever, they're just dead. That's not what the spell the dude was doing, but I use that as a basis for the beginning of the campaign. So they go through the campaign, and I'm routinely throwing in almost time travel-y shit, because like I said, the guy just kind of knows what's happening in the future. Almost time travel-y shit where he's like, you are going to do this, or you will fail to do this, or I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and you can't stop it. Such a things. So the very beginning, the very, very, very beginning of the game, even before the Saint, what was the impetus for why they became adventurers is they were all friends. Because by this point, they all hated the whole introducing your character nonsense, so they were being a bit lazy. They'd gotten complacent, and they're like, oh, we're all from this small village. Oh, okay, you're a group of like 5 or 6 or whatever adventurers. You're all from the same village at the same age. Mind you, all of these people watch anime. Not saying that's necessary for doing D&D, but if anyone's watched anime, you know you never put all the main characters from the same village. Why do you not put the main characters from the same village? Because that village is gonna get burned the next day to the ground. So the village gets burned the next day to the ground. Like the second day of them being like, oh, we're happy-go-luckies. I'm like, yeah, you guys, you're out in the woods. When they came back from like a quick short adventure, their fucking entire village just burned to the ground and everyone's dead. What? Like, yeah, everyone's just burning. There's some dude in the distance on this hill that overlooks your thing, just cackling maniacally. He's still summoning like fucking meteorite fireballs and shit. He's just nuking the village for no reason. What the fuck? So that was the start. That was like the impetus for them going on their adventure. So one of the key things that the Saint does in one of these like little mini side adventures when he shows up is he goes, oh, remember that dude who burned down your town? Yeah, well, here's the thing. I kind of set him up to do that. I set him up to burn down your town. And I'm going to be recruiting him from here. This was like half time travel. There are realms that do different time dilations and they keep going in and out of different realms. So it's going to sound slightly fuzzy right now when I say it like nearly a decade after the fact, but there's time travel, but not time travel. It's just how planes work in fucking D&D. He's like, this is where he is, and I'm going to recruit him. I'm going to recruit him and set kind of the things in motion to be doing that. So, you know, just a heads up, do what you want with this village. So everyone's like, holy shit. You know, we might maybe be able to save the town or mitigate the damage if we can get the crazy murderer now, particularly before the saint gets him. You know, like let's fucking do this. Remember, they're kind of supposed to be good. One of their healers is a saint. And basically they come up with the idea, murder the town. The dude who did it was like a fucking wizard, right? So let's just kill all the wizards. Let's get rid of the damn wizards. So they go through, and essentially they do that over a couple of things. They basically end up in scenarios where they're able to let a wizard die, or the wizard got caught in the area of effect, or collateral damage, and they basically slowly stripped the town of wizards and sorcerers. Like, it's like a little town. There's not like there's many to go around. So they do that, and then the town basically is like, get the fuck out. Like, the town's like, you guys have got to get out. As a matter of fact, if you don't leave, we're going to try to like execute you, like pitchfork style. Like, there's a mob forming by like, because by the I forget what the last one was, but it was not pretty. By the time they got to the last one, it was quite obvious what they were doing. So they end up in a fight versus the town, and they end up killing quite a few of the town's member farmers who were there. These are like fucking peasants. So it gets to the end, and the players are like, well, screw it then. Like, the town, this is where it's from. They're already pissed off at us. We still haven't gotten all the wizards. We've only gotten most of them. We're just gonna have to turn this into a massive brawl. Most of them are fucking, they're peasants. Most of them are little farmers. So let's just kill them all. So they're going through them, and like, the saint is constantly like, he's half metagaming. He's constantly a bit in the back, because there's rules where he can't allow someone to be like executed if they're unconscious, but all the other players are getting around this by just killing them from full health down to 0. Nothing against the vows that allow this. If someone would plead for forgiveness or wasn't being aggressive, then the saint would step in and be like, all right, you can't kill this man. But everyone's fighting for their life. They're not saying don't kill me, because they've just seen them kill 3 of their neighbors. So they're all grabbing their stuff and attacking them. So they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's playing a saint, but as a player, he's not doing it with saintly motivations. He's playing it to the rules. So they're going through it and everything, and they finally they kill like a bunch of the people, and then there's a kid there, and like, these kill the parents, and the kid's like, please spare me. So the kid says a magic word. So the player playing the saint goes, we can't kill this kid. By the holy rules of all of my vows of peace and shit like that, peace and nonviolence, I hereby protect this kid. He's suing for peace, cannot hurt this kid. I will save him. So he saves the kid, and they're like, well, we got to bounce. What are we going to do with this kid? He's like, all right, we'll turn it over to the local church. So he brings it to the church. It's the Church of Pelor. The saint player is under the prestige class, Radiant Servant of Pelor. So he's like, it's my church. Turn it over. He goes to the church. He turns it over to the dude. The guy says, thank you. I will be certain, you know, to take care of this kid throughout his years. And I'm certain that he won't, you know, he definitely won't remember what you've now done to his family in the village. You know, and with that last statement, everyone's like, wait, what? No one directly interacted with the dude. No one touched him. No one did anything. So no one got any will saves. No one had true seeing. So they give the kid over to him. The guy reveals he's Saint Sebastian. He goes, thanks. I'll raise him right for you. Don't worry. I'll make sure he doesn't remember any of this. And he teleports them both away. That was the fire kid. They went for all the old wizards because they thought it was going to be like an old wizard. But I said you saw a figure on the hill. They never saw who it was. So they literally gave him his pyromancer servant thing. They were a bit salty on that one. They all turned and looked at the fucking saint, and they were like, really? Really? The kid? We had this in the bag. and you had to go and save the kid, and then you gave him to the Church of Pelor? If you weren't such a bleeding heart and just let him fight for himself, he would have probably just died back in town. And the player playing the Saint is like, what do you want me to do? So events like this are continuing on. Events like this continue on where I'm playing them. I am playing them front and back. And that's why I won't play TNT with you. I am playing them the whole way through. Everything that I'm able to kind of mostly claim, I'm able to make happen. At some point, there was a side area where they were trying to get between realms, and how do I word this correctly? I do, in D&D, you have like the material plane. It's called material realm, but it's the plane, right? It's the plane of the material realm. You have the plane of fire, the plane of ice, the plane of heaven, hell, all that. They're all planes. However, I actually play between campaign settings, and those are what I reference as the realms. So it's possible to go from Forgotten Realms to Eberron to any of the like little realms I've come up with on my own that I've doodled out maps for and shit. My realms always end up a bit small, and so I have 3 proper ones, and they're all about a third the size of, say, the Eberron map, the core continent of Eberron map. So if you put them together and make it easier to get between those 3, they're each 1/3 of a realm, and they make up the 3 of the realms, so collectively those are called the third realms. They're each 1/3 of a realm. Together they are the third realm. They are the third realms. I must take my pants off. Coronavirus. So, it's possible to go between the realms. I always make it slightly difficult. One of the ones where they're going through, they essentially had to do almost a puzzle. Like the inter-realmal space was heavily influenced by chaos and law. Doesn't make sense, does it? So that one was actually a minor pocket time travel adventure where there were 3 timelines of this random bubble dimension where there's like a church and there's a tree and there's like a little village. It's almost like Silent Hill-esque, because I even basically borrowed a Pyramid Head. So they could go back and forth between the 3 times, and they're just trying to get this one door to open. Because once they're in the bubble, they're in the bubble, and center to the church in like the basement or something like that is the door to leave the realm. They're able to, it's not part of Saint Sebastian's story at all, but just to screw with them even more, I kept borrowing all the rules from the horror campaign setting, the Heroes of Horror or something book. They have a whole bunch of things about doing like horror campaigns, like blood coming from the walls and shit. So I borrowed a whole bunch from that. That would be a story unto itself. Or I crammed everything I could. I went down the paper and crammed every goofy, creepy description I could as I went through, making it sound like ghosts. They weren't ghosts. They were echoes of an earlier timeline. I would destroy the walls later, or like they were at one point in the future time. They were hiding in the church, essentially from Pyramid Head. It wasn't Pyramid Head. It was a big berserker guy, but because I had a church in my head, I was thinking Pyramid Head, and it was a horror story, a horror game. And for some reason, the door that's like holding it open, or holding it shut, I should say, is holding. It's fucking strong. It's good. Also, mostly the guy was just doing bludgeoning damage, so he's having issues. And all of a sudden, a gigantic, like, fucking weird cone thing just randomly shoves straight through in the middle of the door, and then gets like yanked out. Like it just pierces this honking hole through the door. And afterwards, the Pyramid Head, I think the term is XP? Insert character. I might be using that one word wrong. Puts the sword in and uses that as leverage to crowbar open the door and start slaughtering people. When they first got there, they were in the time after that, they got to keep having all the ghosts of people dying around them, so they didn't know what the fuck was going on. Now that they're in this one, they're there while they're dying. Now all the blood and shit was happening. They're there while they're dying. But they end up going back and then going to the past and coming back to the present. Also,
the Etin. That's too high. The Etin Nugamast Ukong Sokrox has come. A giant humanoid monster with 2 heads. We are going to die.
So you guys said I turtle up too much. And I've not turtled. I have not turtled. We have 2 people in our military. We have 2 people in our military. That's what we have. Let me sort this by caste, just so we can get dwarves. Who looks like they would be good in the military? All you guys do. I'm going to assign you to squad the earthen triangles. Commit that in. Back out of that. See if that worked. It did. Good. All you random dwarves that have no clue what is going on, go fight the Etten. Actually, I'll give him a second to maybe get armor. SA station here. We'll station them at the door. Because even the people with training probably don't have their gear on them. But it doesn't matter. That dude is running. Holy crap. All right, new change. New change. Just get out there. Get out there and go. Unfortunately, we don't have our epic hunter from last time. And he's killed him. Good. Who was that just died? That was Cyrilak. Cyrilak, you have died. One, why was caps lock on? 2, who the hell's Cyrilak? Who's Cyrilak? Dwarf kill. Cyrilak. There you go. We have killed off Cyrilak. Also, how did he die?
The Etten bites the fish cleaner in the upper body, tearing apart the muscle, shattering the left true ribs, and tearing apart the heart through the sheep wool cloak. Artery was opened by the attack, and a major artery in the heart was opened by... Yo,
that first hit was lethal. The rest of this is just him being mean. Bashes him with his hood. Yeah, he literally ripped your heart out. He Kali mod Cyrilak. He's not coming back from that. Oh, the military is here. Dun, 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 dun. Who is first? Petrosky. Petrosky, we have faith in you to put down our enemies. They actually did. They were effective. Now here's a question. Who just got injured? Holy shit. No one got injured. He's just tired. They did like a perfect game? Did they just tool on this man?
The Etten misses the Marksdwarf. The Etten attacks the Marksdwarf, but she jumps away. The Etten misses, the Etten misses, the Etten misses, the Etten misses. The Etten sucks at life.
Yeah, no, the Etten just couldn't. Literally, Petrosky just locked him down. That is amazing. Good job, Petrosky. That is what we love in our military dwarves. But proof, I did not turtle. Not turtle. I went out there and fought like a brave dwarf. So where was I? Oh yeah. So they went to the past. Again, I'm cutting out a lot of the adventures, but just for an example, they went to the past. They came back to the present. They see the pyramid head character essentially at the front door trying to bash in, and one of them thinks, I have an idea. I'm gonna summon a giant eagle, or some other suitably large bird. I forget what it is at this point, and I'm gonna have it like fly in and like just peck him in the rear. That'll teach him and get his attention. Problem is, one, the stupid bird missed, and two, bird doesn't have good maneuverability and came in charging at like a 45-degree angle. There are actually rules for maneuverability and how to fly in 3.5. The game doesn't like people who fly in 3.5. You're not turning fast. The dude was at the door. The bird missed on like a flyby attack and had nowhere to go because he had to go straight at the door. So the bird straight into the door. All right, I guess you're not missing the door, so roll damage. Rolls ridiculously high damage. Bird beak is the weird orange cone thing that went straight through the door that created the leverage. That created the leverage. Like, the whole thing was just nothing but that. It was amazing. But anyways, so they get through that. Like I said, that wasn't even part of the big story. That was just me. That was just me dabbing on them, basically. That was just me taking an opportunity. Oh, I already did one of these. That was just me screwing around with them. Hold on, let me make sure these are available for burial. They're not, that's my issue. So, but yeah, at some point they end up essentially in a civil war. There is a war going on between, or there was a war going on between the arcane and the divine. Arcane casters and divine casters had split the realm. Wasn't even that big of a realm. Had split the realm between them, and they were warring each other for which reigned supreme. Relying on the power of the gods, or relying on one's own wit and force of will to carry them through. The only problem is, in order to try to gain an advantage over the fact that the gods basically cheat, they recruited some ultra extremist arcanists, the psionics. So the psionics were helping the arcane people at the beginning. As the adventure goes on, they have a schism, and it becomes the psionics they took most of the arcane land. The refugees from the arcane joined up with the divine people. So you had the psionic classes versus like classic classes is what the Civil War kind of half came down to ish. So they're going through all this, they're going through all that, they're doing the good jazz. The Saint Sebastian, every time he shows up, he wins. I've been making bold claims, and some of them, like, he shows up, he makes a claim, and then he comes back 2 sessions later, and he's like, oh, BT dubs, just want to rub it in your face again, that claim I made. Yeah, that claim didn't happen. Yeah, it's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. Good luck. Like, literally, I would just have him show up again, just set things in motion and sit up again, be like, oh yeah, you thought I forgot? I didn't forget. Everything I had written down, I had gone back and done. Everything. And then you get to the end, and they have set up, they've gotten a MacGuffin, they've basically gotten a nuclear bomb. There was an artifact that was made off of the fact that in 3.5, the locate city spell is a horrible spell. By itself, it looks like it does nothing. If you were playing 3.5, it is a nuclear bomb. It is a nuclear bomb. I can do 360 guaranteed ice damage with that spell. No save. It is a nuclear bomb. It is poorly written. And the whole point of it is just to locate a city, which is funny. The problem is, while I'm dwarfing you, Sirlac, the problem is that it has a radius, because it's got to locate a city. A lot of teleport spells just say you teleport. A lot of divination spells says you just find. For some reason, the locate city spell says this tells you the nearest city within 20 miles and lists an area radius of 20 miles. Through meta magic feats, you can make that actually do damage. And once it does damage, you can do some more to make it be ungodly. So there was an artifact that was based upon the locate city spell. This exploit is known as the locate city bomb. If you are willing to reduce it to 340 damage, you can also raise everyone you just killed as zombies. They're not necessarily under your control, but you've just fucking Raccoon City'd. You just pick a city and you Raccoon City it. It's just gone. It's amazing. I love that spell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we set this up again. This one is Sirlac. And I still owe the description for the previous person. I do apologize. I will get to that after this next part of the story. Did I commit that through? I did. So they do it. They detonate it. Yay. They didn't pay attention to just how far away things were. And the fact that it was like an enlarged one or expanded. I forget which meta magic feat it is. That's a really large thing. And the area that they're in, like, everyone's here. This is the battle at the end of Lord of the Rings. Everyone who's anyone's representing right now, they're here. Everyone's in like 40 or 80 miles. No one's not, other than like weird little minor peasants or elderly who can't do anything. So they set off the bomb when they're like 5 miles away, fries everyone, just obliterates everyone, just dead. So I'm sitting there and I'm describing this, and the players, they don't have the resistances or the immunities because they all thought that they were going to be outside of it. So sure enough, it comes through, kills all the people in the crew, kills all of the both armies. Everyone's dead. It's gone. So then the players sit there, and that's the end of the campaign. The players go, but wait, why aren't we affected? And then once they say that, I turn to the guy who's the saint, and I go, make a will save. And yeah, sure enough, he fails, which is kind of funny. I was gonna make it be like a slightly different descriptor, but he failed. It's like a nat 1 or something. He failed. I was like, you now get to sit there and watch as you realize that no one has been directly addressing them, because he was the saint, so he was also half the party face. So he sat there and watched one by one as he realized every other player was dead and they faded out of existence because it was only him. My reasoning around this is like, but we were all doing the combats. All the players trying to outdo me and things to get shit over before I could swing anything to my narrative benefit, because they were trying to make it to where one of my predictions didn't come true. They set themselves up as one-hit killers, as I said. So if it's just the saint doing it under a different personality, one hit is one hit. Who cares if it's the rogue personality or the fighter personality, not fighter, but or the wizard personality. I just set him up as like an epic level multi-classer. He just didn't know about all the other ones. So it's just him going crazy and fucking killing everyone in different ways, because they only ever did it like one-hit kills for like all their legit fights. So yeah, all the players were dead the entire campaign. They never questioned why they just talking after they clearly died. And then the player playing the saint ends up on the ground, like he's physically on the ground, the player, and he's curled up in a ball going, future. And I'm like, oh, give me your character sheets. And he's like, yeah, okay. All I did was kill them. That's all he knew at this point. So take all the characters, and yep, all right. And I look at his character sheet and I go, oh, you didn't name them. You just have like the heal bot here. He's like, yeah, man, it doesn't really matter though. I'm like, well, if I'm, he's still alive, I might use him as an NPC. I'm gonna put a name down. He's like, oh, okay. All right, Saint Sebastian. And I give him back the paper. I go, congratulations, you're Saint Sebastian the whole time. What? I'm like, who would know what you were doing more than you? You don't think the saint personality would be trying to stop how insane you were? You don't think your character would have maybe known in the back of his head that he was the one that was crazy? Because everything the saint did set them up to stop the saint. But he's the saint. But like the saint saved the dude. Remember like the kid? Like all the things that went wrong was when the saint saved someone. And then that turned out to be an important character that was doing bad things. It was literally all like I double tapped him. I was like, that was you too. I basically had them trapped in 3 layers of I can predict what the hell you're doing. Every successive like subplot of the game was another fucking layer of this is all you, and I played you for a fucking fiddle. That shit was amazing. I don't think they ever challenged me whether or not I could predict generally what they were going to do again. That saint though is still in my campaigns. Not because I'm overly fond of him. I'd actually rather he just basically die. But the problem is between what I set him up, like he's past level 20 by itself. So someone has to go through a campaign to be able to effectively fight him. But then also he has all the saint features, and the saint the saint template is really strong. So no one's taken him out yet. So what he does now as an NPC is he has a church and he has an entire realm because he nuked everyone. So kind of half the people who are left alive, he is taken unto himself to restore them to life. So he tries to go into other realms and do the psionic body swapping nonsense to get people's souls into new bodies. So he's a saint saving his people, but in every campaign he's the bad guy because he's slowly replacing your people a la body snatchers with his people because he's going to save his people. But he never fights the players. The people he brings back do, because he brought me back to life. Ergo, whatever he says goes. You're the evil guy. So no one was convinced or can be convinced that the Saint is crazy and or evil because he's bringing them back to life. He's doing what he said he would do. And then if anything happens, he just reses them again. Like he just keeps bringing them back. So it ends up like this weird war of attrition where anytime we try to fight the Saint, you have all of his highly religious zealots that oppose you. And you're like, no, you're not you. You replaced the dude I knew. Where's my bartender? And your bartender's no longer your bartender. It's some dude who used to be like in the 6th Regiment of the Arcane Army who's like, no, I'm gonna nuke you. Get out of here. How dare you try to go against Saint Sebastian? He's the holy savior and you must be corrupt. It's the funniest shit. No one ever beats him. It's annoying. Hi, Oni-chan. Play us a fiddle. Took an HR to explain that camp. Took an hour to explain that camp. I want to play D&D. Are there any free ways to do so? I mean, yeah, kind of. D&D core, like just the concept of D&D is free. Are you talking about like 3.5? Because you can right now go on D&D Beyond and get the ability to make a character for 5th edition. The real issue is, while it is essentially going to be free for any player, it's never going to be free for the DM. The DM needs the rules and needs to know what's going on. So the real question is, do you know someone who does D&D? That's the kind of the issue with D&D. Other than Zoom meetings and hope people don't fuck with the dice rolls. So you can do that, and then there is there are a lot of online setups for doing D&D. RPG Crossing is one of those many sites that do this by post. Hola RNG, hello Dictator. In my home campaign, there was a Holy Father who's kind of like that. Online Oni-chan. Clearly, you're a weeb. Oh, hold on. I will leave the... I wanted to close that off out of muscle memory, but I'll open that up so I'm not turtling, even though I have a hole down here. All right. Why did my stream deck just collapse? Why did you collapse? There we go. Oh wait, do I have a button for action cam? I do have a button. Earlier I said I need to get a button, and it turns out I already have one. All hail the button. The waterfall temple's going good. I'm trying to remember as a whole what my plan was. Like, I know it's the tunnels or the tower. I know I want to flood the world with my Tower of Justice, which means I need to start trimming the world so I can make my Tower of Justice. So we'll trim out more world. It might probably be easier if I have my tower over there than trying to cram it over here. We might lower that down and make that be where the tower is, because this is easier to channel out. As that Cataclysm mod that added an XCOM 2 stuff that I played today, so many strays and New Order Knights. But yes, no. So I had a semi, not quite really time travel campaign that had a massive subplot of the Sixth Sense while wrapped around the political sense of Game of Thrones. Because even the psionics at some point during it had a fracture. You had like the Psionic King went one way and his troops, and split from him was the Queen. Like there was an actual political divide. So Queen Elizabeth went one way and the Psionic King went the other. And she got Psychers. So I'm trying to remember what the core psionic class was, and the Psychic Warriors. And he got like the other two classes, like the Wizard version and the Assassin version. Or no, not the Wizard, the Cleric version. There's like 4 classes in the book. They all play really weird. One's like a kineticist or something like that. It's whatever. Anyways, she went one way, and I have her army is set up a la BioShock. That's why those are her 2 classes. Because the main power of the Psychic Warriors is they make themselves big, armory, and they turn their hand into a gigantic weapon. That's like their core defining. They have a lot of other spells, don't get me wrong. Their core defining thing is their ability to make themselves into gigantic armored husks out of nothing and like meld their arm into weapons. So they're the big daddies. And then the other one is just like really weedy, reedy small things, small classes, because they're like kind of wizards of the psionic classes. So they're like really weak, but they have like a lot of magic and they have a lot of mana power and they can just do a whole bunch of things. So they're the little sisters. And that's like Queen Elizabeth's whole shtick, is that she is BioShock without the dystopia. They actually all work for her. It's all good and fancy. It's just her two classes, the two primary defining classes of her civilization is BioShock. And I'm trying to remember what his was based off of. Birds and shrubberies. Oh God. I want a tomb engraved with birds and a bird statue. A tomb engraved. How do you engrave a tomb? You can't, can you? I'll look into it. I'll try. But can you? You're talking about a slab, right? You can't engrave. A tomb is a room. You want a room, that's right. I want a tomb engraved. I can't engrave. I can do stats. You know how I'll try, but I don't think I can get them to engrave what I want them to do. I've never gotten them to do that before, but we'll make a rock coffer of obsidian. We'll see if I can't get that. And you can do custom engraving. Yo, I know about custom statues. Custom engraving though. Of course you want custom engraving. Why wouldn't you want custom engraving? You are a national treasure. Let no one argue against that. Who got dwarfed? The Chulu got dwarfed. All right, now that I finished my story, I will dwarf the Chulu, and then in order, I'll do the three who got dwarfed earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is T'Chulu. T'Chulu? Honey-chan. All right. At the beginning, we had Tapayoke got dwarfed. Is that them leaving? Yeah, all right. Tapayoke, you've definitely had enough time for your thing to go through.
Hi there.
Hi there. Hey, Steven. We were discussing the D&D campaign. The half time travel, but not really. Half Sixth Sense with Games of Thrones campaign setting. All right, Tapayoke, you count amongst your friends. No one we care about at all. They're not named, so we don't care about them. They are here, they do exist. Some of them are legendary, but they're not important. We don't care. You also pray to Lemur, who most often takes the form of a male dwarf associated with misery and torture. Fantastic. Tapayoke is quite durable, but he is slow to heal. Tapayoke likes marble, copper, cat's eye, guava wood, pigtail fabric, the color turquoise, maces, cavies for their 3 toes, snail brutes for the rhythmic undulations, the words of the mindful lesson, the sound of the flute of amethyst, and the sight of the Sheena cavorting. When possible, he prefers to consume banana beer and dwarven wheat flour. He absolutely detests slugs. He has a great intuition and feel for music, but he has an iffy memory and very clumsy kinesthetic sense. Banana beer and dwarven wheat flour. Doesn't say he likes bread. He likes flour and banana beer. I think this man's just an alcoholic who makes prison wine. Who got dwarfed? Stephen Robert did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Stephen Robert. 4. All right, give me a quick second. I just gotta blow my nose. It was raining the last couple days and I didn't take my Claritin. Like snail brutes. Like, what does that even mean? I don't need food, I need answers. Type dwarf and it tells you if you died. Steven, it is a new base. And someone said, what is his best skill? Tapa yoke. Well, so that's just it. I can give you that, but I'm trying to switch things over. Tapa yoke, your highest skill, you are currently a gem setter, but you're really going to be a hauler. So I'm trying to get it switched over to where we have a bunch of haulers and then people who name their dwarves split off into specializations. You know what I'm saying? I just haven't firmly done that yet. So he is a gem setter, but really, unless you request a job, he is going to be a hauler. Now, that's it. My room is stuffy. Let me turn the AC. I don't need much. I'm in the back room, so heat builds up from the 2 fucking mega computers running in here. Where was I? We did Tapa yoke. Where'd my scholar dwarf go? Didn't we keep him in a... Yeah, wait. You mean anything else? Oh, because you're back to being Cthulhu now. That's... Oh, damn it. You had one. You changed your name again. Stop doing that. Make me sound crazy. All right, hold on. Anything else is Cthulhu. The old Cthulhu, or the new Cthulhu, doesn't exist. So your Scholar Dwarf is still there, it was just under anything else. Now, who got Dwarf second? It was Steven, right? Steven Cthulhu Sirlac? Or was it Sirlac, Steven Cthulhu? Well, I think Sirlac was first. Sirlac died. Sirlac has an extended family, and Dictator Bob is your aunt. Ah, yes, have you met my aunt, Dictator Bob, and my cousin, Gopher? Sirlac prays to a lot of gods. Holy crap. I'm not reading all those gods. You pray to them all. Just say that. He is mighty. Sirlac is mighty, but Sirlac is clumsy, quick to tire, and flimsy. Sirlac likes stibnite, copper, pinfire opal, clear glass, giant spider monkey leather, linen fabric, rope reed paper, the color purple taupe, windows, figurines, goats for their eating habits, gorillas for their strength, and the sight of the Sheena cavorting. When possible, he prefers to consume giant magpie, prickleberries, blackberry wine, and ginkgo seeds. He absolutely detests lizards. It's a great deal of patience, a good field for social relationships and willpower, but he has quite poor focus and next to no empathy. He dreams of raising a family someday. Dictator Bob, I do believe you are still alive. You are still alive, Dictator Bob. I only wanted to confirm that because I wasn't sure if something had just died and I didn't see him earlier. Sirlac, there was Steven and who else? I need to get my thing to pop up somewhere else. Steven and I do not play. Well, I did play D&D 5e with TikToks, but I wasn't a monk. I was a wizard who used the strongest fireball in the game. That's right, sleep. Because they changed the rules in that a bit. Cthulhu, you didn't have your character, so it's just Steven Roberts. Steven Roberts, who is currently burning logs or something. I don't know. Steven Robert, you are married to a fish cleaner. No, you are married to someone important, but not anyone that we care about, and you only pray to one god. That's right, Rash, who most often takes the form of a rotting male dwarf and associated with valor, death, and suicide. Didn't we want Rash back? Aren't we in the right civilization if they pray to Rash? Also, there's a lot of sun coming through the window today. Ah! If I get sunlight on my skin, I'll melt. Steven Robert says we should all work together. Steven Robert 4 likes chromite, billin, fire agate, giant cougar leather, impala hoof, gems, warhammers, scepters, catapult parts, ducks for their quacks, and the sound of the Queen of Aquamarine. When possible, he would first consume KV and Kanawa beer. He prefers to consume guinea pigs and Kanawa beer. He absolutely detests mosquitoes. He has good memory and good intellect. But he has a questionable spatial sense, meager creativity, a little difficulty with words, poor ability to manage or understand social relationships, little natural inclination towards music, and very bad intuition. He dreams of crafting a masterwork someday. I could have just read that normally, but I wanted to go over the top because that was a large list of detractors of your character. What is this fort's deal? So this fort's deal is a couple things. One, we have a gigantic waterfall. In that, and it freezes occasionally. So I wish to, while off the river at some point, make this be a giant artificial bowl and have a tower in it. Because in addition to that, you can exchange your channel viewing points that Twitch has been doing. I finally put things in there to be like, I want to be a farmer. I want a large bedroom dedicated to bats. As someone requested recently, I am over time by a little bit. I want a large tomb engraved with birds and a bird statue, because they're crazy. So, and if you are new, stay with me. We'll come back to that in a second, because we've gone over an hour. So this is the end of the YouTube cut. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you all so much for watching. Catch you guys next time.